Johnny boy, what's happening?
BT, how the hell are you, man?
We're good. Oh, I'm good. You know, it's funny. Every time I see John, which is very rare these days, unfortunately, because we used to work together in Detroit. It's like a 20-hour quick. Like I'm passing through, he's passing through, and I got to tell you, the memories are pretty. The memories when we hang are a little fuzzy, if you know what I'm saying.
You know what? We don't mess around. Let's just put it that way, BT. We don't mess around. Even for the small amount of time that we overlapped in our careers in Detroit, you think about the things we got to witness there, from Stevie Y to a young Grant Hill to
Yeah.
Barry Sanders, although I know he was on his way out when you got there. But all the things that happened in the D while we were there were pretty cool, too. And I know, I'm proud every time I flip on the radio and I can hear you doing great things on CBS Sports. And proud to be a part of the CBS Golf family, too, here for an amazing week at Whistling Straits so far.
Well, I appreciate that, and CBS is lucky to have you. John actually really taught me about golf, and if you listen to the show, I reference the sport so much, and I don't know if I would do it as much as I do if it weren't for John. So let's start cutting the nut. I know the leaderboard is always fluid, but it seems as if it's really changing directions. Give us first of all, I'm looking at it now. Did Dustin Johnson, what happened to Dustin Johnson? No, he didn't. Okay. My computer, that's the computer's fault. I'm saying, wait a second.
He hadn't teed off yet.
If
He's probably eating some breakfast, maybe getting some balls lined up at the range. But he's got a few hours, DJ does.
Look at him trying to help
sit
me
on
out.
the lead,
Hey, John.
which is not an easy deal, by the way, Brandon, because you look at the PGA Championship, there hasn't been a first-round leader that has won here since '83. Hal Sutton. That's a long time since a guy went wire to wire at the PGA Championship. But when you look at a second-round leader in the majors, the last 8 guys have all led midway through. So the last 8 major winners have led, at the 36-hole mark. So we'll see who's ahead after today. But David Lingmerth just kind of ran into a little bit of a struggle bus there on the 7th hole, which is a beautiful par 3 on the water. He put it in the water. Then he had to take a drop, and he double bogeyed. So he was up to 8 under and 2 shots ahead of Dustin Johnson. But he has since fallen into a tie, and then he was hitting some struggles on the 8th hole, too. May have bogeyed that because he had a long par putt before I stepped out of the truck.
Okay. By the way, I want to bring you back to what you said about Hal Sutton, because another point of reference, and I think I said this I'm pretty sure I said this on the air yesterday, that if an American wins this weekend, it'll be the first time since the '82 season when an American's won all 4 majors, which is interesting. Do you have a theory? Do you have a theory as to why we haven't had a wire-to-wire winner since Hal Sutton? Because to me, it just seems like the PGA courses are a little certainly easier than U.S. Open venues, and even the Open Championship with the wind and the sideways rain. I just feel like the PGA Championship, and I'll put this in quotes, is easier. I'm surprised we haven't had a wire to wire. I did not know that. Why is that, do you think?
It's a good question. I think a lot of it has to do with just the grind of the season, and you're at the end of the season. And even if you're having an amazing season like, say, a Jordan Spieth is right now, to go ahead and do it again in the last major after doing it the way he did in the first 3, albeit not winning the Open Championship, but coming damn close. I think it's tough. I think it's tough to go ahead and run the table in any tournament, let alone a major championship. And then I think the venues changed quite a bit. Now, this is the 3rd time we've been here to Whistling Straits for a PGA Championship. BJ won the first time. Everybody talks about Dustin Johnson's heartbreak in 2010, but it was Martin Keimer's a German who won that time. Mm-hmm. And now, we've got Lingmerth on top. Does he sound like the Harry Potter character to you?
Let me tell you something. Hey, John.
It sounds like he should be at Hogwarts with Harry.
Hold on a second.
He's playing
Hang
great
on.
golf right now.
Do you know me well? Do you think that I give a rat's behind about Harry Potter? You know me.
No,
well. Do you
I know
think
you
I'd
don't,
actually
but maybe
enjoy
some
that?
of your audience does, all right? You got to reach out. You got to broaden your audience base.
Well, by the way, with a 7-month-old son, I'm sure at some point we will, but I'm still
not yet.
No, not yet. And
yeah.
I've heard rave reviews about it as well. It's just that whimsical, mystical. That's just never been my scene, but I'm sure it's going to change at some point. And it's Jon Bloom, CBS Sports, and he's out at Whistling Straits. The feel to me is that American golf, just a broad snapshot if you can. Certainly Dustin Johnson, so important for future Ryder Cup success. I'm tired of getting obliterated by the Europeans. It's time to stop this. Obviously, Spieth is a rising star. And it just seems like finally there was a little, maybe a 5, 10, 12-year lag where the Euros, you would see all these young Euros explode on the scene. It finally seems like the Americans are kicking in. But it seems like it's a lot later than Europe. Why is it taking so long for us to finally catch up, which I think we are?
Well, I think a lot of it just had to do with the Tiger era, and when it was the Tiger era, it was Tiger and everybody else. And there was no one anywhere close. And then Phil kind of tickled it a little bit and went in the Masters, and it seemed like they were going to go toe-to-toe. And then Tiger kind of took the reins back, and all that culminated, in 2008, unbelievably 7 years ago, his last major championship, more than 7 now. After that, you're right. So we saw Europeans emerge like Rory McIlroy. We've seen Australians emerge as well,
Oh, yeah.
several of them.
Yep.
And I think they're strong. I think the thing is, Brandon, it's not just Americans and Europeans and Australians. I think worldwide we're seeing stars come from all over the place. I mean, I love this guy, Hideki Matsuyama from Japan. He's 23. He's going to be fantastic. You're going to see that guy win majors. I think you're going to see Australians win because there's so many good ones. There's good South African golfers and even young ones that are coming up now. But, as far as American golf, this is by far the strongest it's been since maybe the middle of the Tiger era, when you just saw that, there was Tiger, there was Phil, there were a handful of other young Americans that were coming up that could, help, a strong base. But it was really all about Tiger. Now you've got so many young guys, and it's really exciting. I mean, even when you look at a guy like Lingmerth, and I hate going back to him, but he is in the lead here, and he deserves some props. He's had 4 top 10s in his last 6 starts, including a win. So it's not like he's coming out of nowhere. But he's from Sweden, but he played at Arkansas. So
Yes.
there's some American ties there too.
That's a good point. Jon Bloom, CBS Sports, Tiki and Tierney Show, CBS Sports Radio. Now, John's from the West Coast, born and raised in San Francisco. Big Giants fan. But when we worked in Detroit, he actually was going back and forth for the World Series back in '02, which was a great job out of you. I don't know how you did some of the work that you did because you weren't even awake when you got back. But my point, you learned to play golf, and John is a pretty good golfer. You played with Aaron Opelholzer in high school, right?
That's right. Yeah, he's now Golf Channel fame, and this is the first event that the two of us have actually worked as part of the media together. Because unfortunately, he had to call his career an end way too early due to a bunch of surgeries on his left hand.
Yeah, and just as a point of reference for my audience, John really does understand the game, but he can stick it around the course a little bit. So he grew up playing in the Bay Area with windy conditions and almost conditions that replicate Europe. And I wonder, whether it's not counting the most recent surge by young American golfers, I feel like Europeans are more battle tested. They're used to playing in the wind, the rain. I feel like, and I'm terrible, but like if you grow up in Florida and Tech, you played in shorts, it's sunny, there's really not much to contend with. And when things go a little sideways, I feel like American golfers aren't always ready to deal with that. Is that a fair thought?
Well, I think it's definitely fair if you're going to, generalize. If you're going to use, kind of a generalization about golfers, yeah, European golfers normally will be able to hang in there when the elements take over because that's, what they're used to. I would say growing up where I did and where Aaron did, we had a little bit of that in the Bay Area, like you said. It depends on where you live in the United States. Jordan Spieth, I think his game is a perfect Texas game. He can get it around anywhere because he can alter the way he's going to hit the ball. He can shape his shots. He can keep it low when he needs to. And everybody likes to talk about, Jordan Spieth not being amazing at anything. But he's amazing in general because he's so damn good at everything.
Yeah, exactly.
And when you talk about wind coming up, which is expected to come up again later today, I think the guys like Jordan and Rory and the guys that are playing now are going to have a distinct advantage because we may get some of that weather you're talking about rolling over to Lake Michigan. We may get some rain. We may get some high winds again. And then that means the draw really has a huge play, has a huge factor in how, things go today. Yesterday, I felt like with the big three, the thing that had a huge factor was Rory McIlroy's pants. I couldn't handle the fuchsia, and I think it threw off the entire threesome, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It reminded me, and I said this, and I got a chuckle from the truck, it reminded me of when my dad used to put a black and white television on top of a color television on New Year's Day so we could watch all the college football.
Yeah.
That's what Rory's outfit reminded me of.
Yeah, I could totally see it. The plaid pattern from the 70s. And by the way, the gold that encompassed the Nike swoosh, not exactly a great look either on his shoes. Did you notice that? I don't like that too much. Hey, John, I've got 30 seconds. I got to ask you real fast. Obviously, the cut line right now, last I checked, is +1. It could go maybe one shot in either direction. Does Tiger have any birdies? Can Tiger even make the cut? I know it's an old story. I don't think his game is anywhere near ready. You and I know that. But for those who are thinking it, can he make the cut today?
I think he can, but I have a feeling he won't. Look, I mean, he struggled mightily putting yesterday, and if you can't putt, this course is hard enough. If he's going to hit it sideways, which he really didn't do a whole lot of yesterday, but if he does, then he's really in trouble. So I have a feeling he won't make it, and my question just goes back to how long is he going to be comfortable toiling in mediocrity or in below-average golf? I just don't see him doing this for a long run. How long is he going to give it?
I asked Ian Baker Finch the same thing in the first hour, and his answer probably echoed what you're thinking, what I said. Probably not too long, because when you're used to being on the top of the mountain, it's no fun getting kicked, dirt kicked in your face. And one weekend is okay. 1 year is okay. 4, 5, 6 years, it's embarrassing. I don't think he's going to stick around to be that pedestrian, pathetic figure. I'm with you.
Yeah, hurting the brand.
All right, brother. Always great chatting. Next year, by the way, Bolter's roll, so we'll get to hang if we don't see you before that. So keep up the good work. Jon Bloom, CBS Sports, also does a ton of stuff for the Suns in Arizona, pre- and post-game. Johnny, good stuff. Appreciate it.